So as many of you know, during my awakening quite a few years ago, I had an activation of the third eye and the crown chakra. And during this time, I tapped into my psychic and intuitive abilities, which I now personally believe that we actually all have the ability to do this. I used to think that it was more, well, it is more related to women. Women are more connected to their intuition, but I do believe that everyone has the ability to tap into this gift. And one of the things that actually helps us activate our third eye and our crown chakra is healing anything that we have not dealt with in terms of fear and trauma, because that is so closely related to the root chakra. And if we're going to have a Kundalini awakening, which is the activation of all of the chakras from the spine up, then it's really important that we start off with that fundamental chakra, which is the root chakra. But I believe that the majority of us, many of us, and I was one of them for a very long time, never looked at my traumas, never looked at all of the fear that I was carrying within. And because of that, I was navigating the world feeling extremely unsafe. And this kept that core root chakra, that foundational root chakra, shut down and closed, which didn't allow me to access any of the other chakras. And it was a beautiful experience when I went through my awakening, because it was just this opening of all of the energy centers. And what I thought was so profound was actually the ability to tap into these psychic gifts. And so in today's video, I want to share with you guys something that has come through for me personally over the years. Something that I've come to realize is signs that someone is thinking of you. The way that this works is we have to understand that we are all energy. And I know that, things like psychic and even spirituality is sort of this concept that is very fluid and doesn't necessarily have a structure to it. And there's a reluctancy often to believe in it. And it does take a level of faith and a level of belief. But really, that's what it means to connect to the divine, is having that level of faith. But what we don't realize as well is that faith is already there. What blocks us from being able to believe in the esoteric and believe in the spiritual side of things, what blocks us from that is all the fear that we've accumulated over our lifetime. And so when we go through our spiritual journeys, when we have dark night of the souls and we have multiple awakenings, what it's doing is it's peeling away those layers of fear. And underneath the fear is the truth. And underneath the fear is the love, the unconditional love, and the connection to all things, and the ability to see, feel, and hear, and know that we are all one and we are all connected. And so that's really what this video is about, is just the awareness of our connection to all people at all times. And you may not necessarily be sitting in the room with someone, but you're connected to that person. And so here are a couple psychic signs that someone specifically is thinking about you. The first sign is that you have multiple dreams of this person. The other thing I want to say is that the dreams often feel very real and very vivid. So this can happen for those who have had someone who have crossed over or who have passed, and they come back in your dream state, because again, for many of us, we don't realize that we live with so much fear. So we're not necessarily open to the spiritual side of things. So even if a loved one tried to come through in the physical world, we wouldn't be on the same level to be able to hear it or feel it or sense it. And so when we step into the dream state, which is the four-dimensional reality, there's less fear there. So we're able to connect with other spirits, other souls that maybe have passed, but also spirits and souls that are still here on planet Earth with us. So our astral bodies are able to connect with each other during the dream state. And so oftentimes, if someone is thinking a lot about you in the 3D world, the three-dimensional world, which is fear-based, they may pop up in your dreams, whether they are someone who has passed or someone who's here physically with you. Now, keep in mind that someone who has passed away probably isn't thinking of you in the sense that you may be imagining. It's often a confirmation to bring to you, especially if you're going through, a time of distress in your life, is they may pop up as sort of a confirmation to say, I'm okay, I'm safe, to give you that peace of mind. But in regards to the people that are still physically here with you, if they are thinking about you a lot in the 3D world, then what often happens is they will pop up in the 4D world, which is the dream state, and take note of what's actually happening in your dream as well, because they may say specific things to you, or they may give off a certain energy that can demonstrate sort of where their mind is at, or maybe why they want to get in communication with you. Now, keep in mind, you may just have someone that maybe you haven't spoke with in 10 years, and they've been thinking about you a lot, and so they may pop up in your dream state. It may not be anything significant, it may not be urgent, it may not even be that important either. We got to keep that in mind as well is that just because you're getting these signs doesn't necessarily mean it's sort of an urgent matter that you have to deal with, but it just goes to show you that we do have a connection to all things and all people. Now, the second sign is that you can't stop thinking about this person, so they keep popping up in your mind. But I want to say this right now because I know that people are going to confuse this with infatuation and obsession or limerence, and that's not what this is. So you really have to be honest with yourself about whether or not you're just obsessively thinking about a person because it's an obsession or an addiction in some sense, or are you just going about your life and this person just keeps popping in your head, because there really is a difference. It can be subtle, but again, as you open up your third eye chakra, as you open up your crown chakra, you can really tell the difference, because often when it's limerence or it's obsession or it's, it's something compulsive, there's a lot of fear related to that thinking. So it's almost chronic thoughts of someone, but it's based in fear, versus being in a space of peace and love, and you notice that this person keeps popping into your mind, or you're going about your day and you keep having these thoughts of them. Maybe it's like you're thinking about a past memory of them all the time. Maybe you thought about something that they said to you specifically, and they keep coming to mind. And you may have seen this or experienced this before, where you thought of someone from your past and all of a sudden they call you, right? They just kind of pop in your head right before they call. And this is what that telepathic communication is. And really, it's just energy, right? So you're just picking up on the subtle energy of someone sending thought waves towards you. And the last psychic sign that someone is thinking about you is that you see constant reminders of them, or you see their name everywhere. So what I mean by reminders could be things that sort of represent that person, right? So and a name could obviously represent that person. So if you chronically see things pop up into your environment where you go, that's really weird, that makes me think of Sally, or that makes me think of Harry, then often, especially if you're seeing this a lot, so I'm not just talking about, once here and there, but if you're seeing maybe their name pop up all the time, or you're seeing something that represents them all the time, then this is most likely a huge sign that someone is thinking about you. Now, the other thing that I do want to say about that, and kind of similar to point 2, is that if you are thinking about someone a lot, you may also get a lot of signs of them. Now, the reason why this is because this comes down to metaphysics, right? So when we are chronically thinking about someone, we are ourselves sending out those thought waves. And so they may be picking that up, and that could be an indication of why you're getting all of the signs. But in addition to that, whatever we think about a lot, we're going to attract and see. It's sort of like the idea of the law of attraction. So if you yourself are the one who is originating that thought form, then what's happening is you're starting to generate the signs because you're thinking about it so much. So this work really comes down to picking up on sort of the subtleties of where you're at and really being honest with yourself, because I do think that there are times where this idea of psychic signs can get confused with obsession. I think that when we are in a state of being obsessed, we often interpret things from that state of obsession, versus when we are in a state of peace and love, then we can actually see things the way that they are without the sort of bias of how we want it to be. But that was a little glimpse into the psychic world, so I hope you enjoyed this type of video. If you did, definitely leave a comment down below, share, subscribe. If you guys are interested in online courses, guided meditations, or if you want to work with me one-on-one, I actually do now have a 3-week transformative coaching program. The link will be down below. But I'm sending you absolute love and light, and I'll see you soon. Take care.